Greetings, my name is Eric Lang, and this is the 11th video that I have made for selected topics in engagement, focus, and tension in project management. This is a book that I've written on people-centric project management phenomena and adjacent topics that occur during project management. These are people-centric, human psychology type things that are often repeatable. I've never found them really properly documented before, and therefore created a book full of all of them. There's 70 plus, almost 80 of these phenomena, plus the additional topics that are associated with them. And the topic that I've chosen for this week is the process apocalypse, also known as Frankenstein processes. As a project manager, you'll be executing through many processes. The project itself may be organized on a process. In addition to that, there will be process tools and other processes associated with it, including what I feel is the most onerous, which are process spreadsheets. Spreadsheets are perfect for processes. However, they're not used very well. They're often non-intuitive, lacking in documentation, incomplete. And then in addition to all of that, they have one really glaring weakness is that they're easily updatable. And so you'll see an iterative and successive updates of a spreadsheet process, especially if this is around pricing and margins, where there's an opportunity to just add a little bit more to be sure, add a little bit more to be sure. This is very similar to the derate of a derate, people-centric project management phenomena that is documented elsewhere in my book. And processes, these Frankenstein and broken processes, will often be misrepresented to the project manager as having been quite successfully used in previous projects, and will be handed off as if they are a polished and developed and effective tool that is well documented, easily understood. And then the project manager will begin executing through that and find otherwise. It's important to understand that no manager has ever maxed out their bonus fixing processes. And as a project manager, broken processes will show up at your doorstep on a regular basis. So as you're executing through a project, knowing up front that you're going to be seeing broken processes is an important thing to think about ahead of time. The first time you experience it, it's really troublesome because you don't understand why this has to be so hard. But then as you become an experienced project manager and you acknowledge that broken processes will be showing up, you'll have a much more seasoned approach. And there's a significant stress reduction knowing that these things are actually going to occur. So Frankenstein processes also lend themselves to a bizarre version of hooking on, which is another people-centric project management phenomena. And hooking on is when there's an attempt to leverage the forward motion energy of a project to get other things done. And in the case of Frankenstein processes, project execution will attempt to be leveraged to fix a process while executing a project. And that is not the purpose of the project. The scope of the project defines the project, and the goal of the project manager is to execute and complete the project, not fix everything that's broken in the world. So avoid the hooking on situation, and then that act of trying to fix things and in real time as a project executes. That's another people-centric project management phenomena that is referred to as the in-flight missile repairman. There's different scenarios associated with it, and one of those key scenarios is fixing broken processes while the project is executing. So we want to avoid tools that have the derate of a derate built into them. We want to avoid hooking on as part of our project execution, and we definitely want to avoid becoming an in-flight missile repairman as we're trying to work our way through Frankenstein processes. So in addition to knowing that they're coming, they're going to happen, and having that seasoned acceptance of that. And the other thing that comes from knowing about that these things exist, and avoiding the in-flight missile repairman, avoiding the hooking on, avoiding the derate of a derate, it's important to not break your project while you're trying to work your way through these processes. And to do that, you honor the spirit of the broken process, maybe without having to work through all of the broken process parts of it. So understand what the process's purpose is, meet that or exceed that purpose and requirement, but don't get caught up in the broken part of it or trying to go to the nth degree. And you'll see this in many processes where realistically they just want this one thing. That's what the purpose of the process is. But then the process metastasized into this, the cockroach that ate Cincinnati situation. And you don't need all of that. Just find out what you need, make sure that's done and documented and has transparency, but don't get caught up in all the brokenness of the process itself. And that is really the purpose of this video, is to give awareness to Frankenstein processes and the process apocalypse. It's a very real thing that happens on a regular basis in any type of project. And as the complexity of projects increases, as a project goes global, as a project crosses over into multiple parts of a company in a matrix environment, these process apocalypses become much more common. So again, acknowledge that they happen. Have a look for honoring the intent of the process. Don't get caught up in expending huge amounts of bandwidth fixing something that you really can't fix. So thank you for taking the time to watch my video. And next week will be episode number 12. Thank you.